24 minutes in the books, and it's a 56-51 game. They reviewed a three-pointer, took away a point, so Boston down 5, but they were down 22 at one point, and we got ourselves a ball game again in Boston in Game 2 of that Eastern Conference semifinal. American Express halftime report: Ernie Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Charles Barkley, the American Express teammates. Charles said before the game, if J.J. Redick got 20, then Sixers are going to win the game. Thought he might get that in the first half. He was on fire.
I didn't know they was going to be stupid the last 5 minutes of the half.
6 out of 9 with 3 out of 4 from deep. Last 5 minutes of the half, a 20-5 run by the Celtics. In fact, they had 26 points with 6:41 to go in the second quarter, and then scored 25
Ernie, that's
down the stretch, and it's a game.
The Sixers was so stupid. Ernie, when a team is making
Tell us how you really feel.
No, Ernie, Kenny, we sitting there. Number one, the coach didn't call a timeout.
Yeah.
They came down when Boston started making their run, and they just kept jacking up threes. Ernie, you got to know the time and the score. You know, the coaches always talk about the last 5 minutes before the half and things like that. You got basically a 20-point lead. Boston makes a nice run. And you just come down and just like, let's just keep shooting threes. They're not going in, and Boston made their run.
So a 22-point lead now cut to 5 at the break, 56-51. Why don't you take me inside that Boston run and how they got back?
Well, the house was on fire. What happens, Charles?
Oh, you got to get the wife and kids out.
But when you look at it, and we talk about calling timeout, and before I go to the board, I think the one thing, when you have a veteran team, like Shaq said, you know, Phil Jackson didn't call timeouts. When I played with Dean Smith, he didn't call timeout because he said, I'm not going to bail you out. But those were veteran teams. When you have a young team, they don't really know what to do. It's not that they don't want to do it. It's just they don't really know what to do. And so as you watch and you go down and you see how Boston is all of a sudden, they changed the tempo of the game, and Rozier, by the defensive end, as you see Marcus Smart is not giving up on the play, you see Al Horford not giving up on the play, and all of a sudden going, again, freeze it here. You have guys who are not in sprint position. He's with Horford, but he's not in sprint position. You got Redick not in a defensive position. All of a sudden it goes, and you get into the lane, and you can do your Euro step into the basket and score. Again, the energy and effort change. Freeze it again. You got to overrun. Once you overrun, you should only overrun one step and get back. JJ goes 2 or 3 steps. Now he's lost. Now we got ball movement. And Rozier, a house on fire. 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 Give it to him again. And it's going to go in. The house is on fire. You have to have, let's see, a veteran team, Shaq, they would go, he's like, I'm not calling timeout. And then they get together and they go, okay, this is what we need to do. But I don't think the Sixers really knew what to do.
They did not. Because they
needed to call timeout and let them know what to do.
Because they got off to such a great start. All those threes were falling. So you got a 20-point lead. And then when Boston starts the house on fire, hey, slow down. Run a play. Yeah. Don't let them score 6 to 8, 10 straight points. Don't just keep shooting threes. And if they lose this game, they lost it within the last 5 minutes.
Shaq has a look at what the Sixers were doing well when the game was in command.
Well, these two guys over there panicking. There's no need for panic now. They just need to go in the locker room and say, how do we get that 20-point lead? They need to get back to their Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ernie. Got to get that focus,
I'm
Ernie.
interested, man.
We ain't going to panic. We ain't calling no timeout. What you looking at?
Hey,
you
Marcus
call
Smart.
timeout
No, you don't.
When you got a young team.
No, you don't.
Young team, I think.
No, you don't. They got to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it.
I ain't calling nothing.
Los Angeles Lakers, with you, I'm not calling timeout. You better figure it out.
Ben Simmons, a very
quiet
first half for Ben Simmons. 1 point, 3 rebounds, 3 assists.